Hello, everyone. This is the Horror Appraisal. I'm Sam.
And I'm Evan.
And we are here with a very special night. You know, we've been gone for some time, and now we're back with the Mother's Day Friday the 13th edition.
Absolutely. Mother's Day was actually last Sunday. Today is Friday the 13th, May of 2016. So really just coming off of Mother's Day too, we felt it was just prudent to finally do the original Friday the 13th.
Yeah, we hadn't done the Friday the 13th movie yet, and it was kind of weird for us because we've been doing this for, 2 years now?
Yeah, about 2 years.
So we just watched Friday the 13th, and we had met a few stars from this, Sean S. Cunningham and Ari Lehman, and Adrian King. But we also met Victor Muller, which explained to us something very interesting.
The whole cool thing about Victor Muller was the original screenwriter who created all the characters in the original Friday the 13th. And the great thing about it was, he told me and Sam, in a private conversation, we met him at Scarefest about 3 years ago, about how he never meant the Friday the 13th franchise to become about this mass killer, Jason Voorhees, who of course we all know and love and remember fondly from childhood nightmares and, watching films in our cousins' basements about, campers being slashed and hacked apart and virgins being killed. But he actually meant it as a testament about the power of a mother's love, about a mother's need to do anything she can for her child, and that can even include the theme of revenge.
And you kill the people that were responsible for your child's death, and you keep killing generations and generations. And it doesn't matter if these people actually directly killed your son. They're still teenagers, and they're still careless.
Are still to blame.
They're careless, and they're to blame.
Yeah, absolutely. What about, Friday the 13th is a film that really kicked off the 80s, man. And you and I, of course, are butt crazy about the 80s. What about the 80s, man, really started to differentiate from previous horror films?
I mean, you had a kind of a simplified, and I know it seems simplified, but I know it wasn't, but you had a simplified storyline, which was kind of like a slasher theme. Sure. Which brings to mind effects. Mm-hmm. And effects are something we love from the 80s.
Practical special effects.
Something like Tom Savini. I mean, he was in Vietnam. He didn't get to join in on Night of the Living Dead because he was overseas. But he did Dawn of the Dead. He did Martin. And
absolutely.
Then he got his big slasher debut.
Let's not forget he did The Prowler.
Well, yeah, but isn't this prior to The Prowler? Prowler was 81.
Oh, it was, wasn't it? My bad.
He did Friday the 13th.
I doff my cap to you. Absolutely right.
But I mean, that same vein is an amazing film. Friday the 13th, The Prowler, those are amazing movies.
Yeah, they're amazing films. Friday the 13th is an amazing film with great practical special effects that really are very visceral, especially for audience members of the time watching this on the silver screen. Because we have a young Kevin Bacon who, of course, gets completely impaled by an arrow through the throat. Yeah, and just great stuff throughout the film.
I think one of the characteristic things that we really love about Tom Savini is that Tom Savini truly is a character. Anytime somebody dies, you know that he's involved because he's wielding the axe, he's wielding the arrow that goes through someone. He is pushing
very hands-on. Very hands-on, and you can call Tom Savini a filmmaker. You don't have to be a director to be a filmmaker. If you contribute, wholly to that film's ambiance, you are a filmmaker in your own right.
Well, there's something very special about the kills in this film. Do you know what that is?
What's that?
It's the very first on-screen beheading. The very, very first on-screen beheading. And there's something also very funny about that. When that happens, Betsy Palmer, who plays Pamela Voorhees.
The late, great Betsy Palmer. We just lost her, last year? Late last year?
Last year, a couple years ago. She was beheaded. And this is no
not
secret
in real life in the film.
You have seen this. Pamela Voorhees is Jason's mother. But if you've seen Jason, you know that his mother gets beheaded. When she gets beheaded in Friday the 13th, it's Tom Savini's hands that reach up. You see the clasped ring, you see the hair on the hands. It's funny.
And to be fair, we did watch this in high definition on Blu-ray. Why not? But, a lot of these films, you really rediscover in high definition. You really do see them warts and all.
Got the hood going by.
But that's all right. But that's, that's just something too that really, in a way, watching it as an adult, just makes it even that more endearing. I love the Friday the 13th films. And like I said, just especially that conversation we had with Victor Miller, the writer of the original Friday the 13th.
He said, he said he never meant for it to be that bastardized Jason.
Absolutely. And we all, and I love Jason.
We love Jason.
Who doesn't?
It was an accident.
Yeah.
Jason was an accident, really.
It was more made to be a revenge story, which I think is quite a cool take on it. Man.
It was supposed to be like a dedication to a mother, and that would be Pamela Voorhees, and she's channeling her son's energy at the end of the film, and we have kind of a philosophical kind of question when we're watching this
We've
movie.
always done it. Sam and I have been friends for 16 years just about, and we've always discussed this from the original Friday the 13th film. And really kind of, what is that question, Sam?
Is there more than one killer? Is the mother the only killer in this? And I think that when you see the guy that's kind of running Camp Crystal Lake, when you see him get killed, he leaves the diner, but he gets picked up, by a police officer, and then he has to be left behind.
Save that guy for later.
He has to be kind of picked up later, and Pamela Voorhees picks him up and kind of says, she meets him at the front of Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
And she kills him. Well, there's some other deaths that happen at the same time, and I really feel like maybe Jason is also killing. We just don't see him, and I don't know that was ever an intent by the writer, because obviously Victor Miller told us it wasn't. But I think that the way it's done really
you can certainly come to that conclusion. Now, I myself personally, it doesn't matter, what you necessarily think. I myself personally think that Pamela Voorhees is behind every kill in the original Friday the 13th. Jason isn't a corporeal form to her. Jason is something that lives inside of her. Her heart is Jason's throne, basically.
Well, by the time we get to Friday the 13th Part 2, Jason is such an accomplished killer. It seems like he's done this before. It seems like, it's not his first rodeo. Do we really think that the Friday the 13th Part 2 is the first time that he's killed camp counselors and kids?
And the only evidence that really I have to not necessarily argue against that, but go from the opposite viewpoint, is the fact that, Pamela Voorhees speaks with Jason's voice, while she's getting ready to chase Adrian King's character.
Kill her, mommy! Yeah,
exactly. And also, too, Adrian King has the hallucination at the end, of course, of Jason coming out of that famous scene with Ari Lehman, jumping out of the water and grabbing Adrian King, across the throat and dragging her down in the lake.
By the way, Ari Lehman is a very different type of person.
Absolutely.
He has made a career off of being basically that kid that came out of the water.
Basically doing one scene in one movie.
But he's a musician now, and he refers to himself as first Jason. And he does have that honor of being first Jason, because he is the only Jason. That
I wouldn't take that away from him. He is Jason Voorhees. He's the original Jason Voorhees.
One of the really cool things about him is he's a performer. When we met him, there was no doubting that he was an elevated personality.
He's a ham.
He is.
But he's fun.
He's a nice guy.
He's a fun ham.
That all said, there's not a whole lot that we can say about Friday the 13th. We've met Sean Cunningham.
That we haven't said.
We loved meeting Sean Cunningham. I feel like Sean Cunningham got lucky with this one, really.
Things like Friday the 13th, honestly, Friday the 13th was an early and absolutely the epitome of an early 80s slasher. It set the bar for many, many things. I think it set the bar for the films like Madman. It set the bar for films like The Burning. Well,
it also did.
I really hope The Burning was in the 80s and not in the 70s.
It was 81, I believe.
Okay.
It was 80 or 81.
That's right.
But Friday the 13th rode the coattails of the success of Halloween.
That's true.
Which Halloween rode the there was no success with Black Halloween or Black Christmas.
Black Christmas.
There was no success with that, but Halloween undoubtedly was inspired by that.
But it takes a pedestrian activity such as camping, and it was really one of the first. find something else that maybe did camping first, other than, of course, the original Hills Have Eyes. That was more of kind of like a road trip kind of thing.
We're sitting out here. We're sitting out here with a fire.
Yeah, we thought a little campfire would be nice for the atmosphere.
We're tempting fate. He's smoking cigarette. I had a beer. Had several beers. We both had shots. We have been partaking of the typical thing that would get us killed if Jason was out here.
We just need some naked chicks.
It's Friday the 13th. Why not tempt fate a little bit? We love the franchise. So with that, what is your favorite Friday the 13th film?
Oh my goodness gracious. I did not expect you to ask that question. My favorite Friday the 13th film. Golly Ned. My favorite Friday the 13th film. Oh, this is too hard because I just thought of 3 of them. My favorite Friday the 13th film, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4, and sometimes it's 6. I have to say 4. I'm going to go ahead and say 4.
There are
the final chapter. There were 6 more movies, but
there are
Friday the 4, the final chapter.
I understand where you come from with that. I think maybe a lot of fans probably feel that way.
Yeah.
Because 3 is the first time you see Jason in a mask. He gets his iconic look. 4, Jason is Jason, really Jason.
Oh, yes.
And he, at that point, loses... He's officially killed. Like, he's legitimately killed as a human.
Mm-hmm.
6. 5 is a copycat. 6,
Jason returns from the grave.
He's resurrected by
Jason
lightning.
Lives.
They stick a metal pole in him, and
it's like Frankenstein, man.
And he is resurrected by lightning. So he becomes like this ethereal
Prometheus Unbound.
Yeah, he's a creature that is the living dead.
Yeah,
and he cannot be killed.
Yeah, so
there's reasons for enjoying all of them.
Probably overall.
But also, I love 2 because it's the first time we see Jason. 2 is really great. I mean,
even though he's potato sack head, Jason 2 is great.
There's great kills. There's reasons I won't talk about. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I'll talk about it. There's some hot chicks.
Well, I wasn't going to say that.
The 13th part 2. I know.
It's just a lot of violence and it's.
Yeah. But I have to say overall, my favorite Friday the 13th film. I love 1 because 1 is just. 1 is like a precursor to everything. And you have to respect 1 because the first Friday the 13th is so unlike any of the rest of the films.
It's the only one without Jason.
It's the only one without Jason because that's how it's intended. And you really have to have a hardcore respect for the first Friday the 13th film, I feel. But as far as, what Jason movies became and everything else, I gotta go with 4, man. I love 4. It's so much gory fun.
4 for me, too, because I feel like...
Crispin Glover in it.
I feel like Jason is like the guilty pleasure. Jason movies...
Jason is.
Friday the 13th is a film that you watch to watch that bimbo in the woods trip over the root. She's laying down. She's like, oh, my God, help me. But... funny enough, that never happens. But it's in part 6. Is it part 6? No, part 4 is the lake scene where the dude gets it in the crotch with the, okay, the girl's in a boat and she's like, where are you, blah blah blah, and she gets impaled, and a dude comes out after her and he gets a spear in his dick. Like,
this is basically just in the groin. I don't like to think of it in the junk.
The groin. But part 4 has Crispin Glover.
Yeah,
who is a strange guy.
That is a strange fellow. I think if he was here right now, he would be just like I imagine he'd be. Strange.
I think another thing about Friday the 13th that really strikes people, and I think is maybe one of the things about Friday the 13th Part 3 3D that really one of the things we love about it, it's the 80s. And
absolutely.
I was
going to mention that about Part 3.
The F-13 series really strings us along through the 80s, and it shows us the evolution as things go along.
Yes.
The effects change, the music changes. We get Tom Savini back in Part 4, which is one of the reasons also to love that movie. It's by Corey Feldman, which we met Corey Feldman, and he was really nice to us.
He was a nice guy. He's the nicest douchebag I've ever met.
What is the one thing that's consistent through all the Friday the 13th films?
Pubes.
Yes, but...
great special effects?
No.
Golly.
Not always.
Camp Crystal Lake?
No, because you got Jason X Manhattan.
Well,
you got Jason X and
well, Sam?
Harry Manfredini.
Oh. Happy polylogies, as Alex would say from Clockwork Orange. My apologies.
Harry Manfredini has done the music for all of these films.
Absolutely.
Even the worst of them. And, we've met Kane Hodder, and it's a shame that Kane Hodder was in some of the worst ones. Because
Kane Hodder's a great Jason. He was just in some of the crappiest iterations of the character.
Part 7 is my least favorite. Because you've got...
do you dislike 7 more than you dislike 5?
Yes. Because
Explain.
5 is still kind of classic Jason. Even though it's a copycat, it's still kind of classic Jason. 7, you've got this girl who's got telekinesis. She brings like supernatural...
They tried to bring the Carrie element into Jason.
It's like you have competing personalities. You have a supernatural...
What kind of movie are you trying to tell?
You're not supposed to have a supernatural protagonist and antagonist in a movie like this. You're supposed to have a supernatural antagonist.
The only thing I'll say in defense of that is at that point they had reached the 7th film in the franchise. They're gonna start doing stuff new,
which is one of the things that I don't like about it. They didn't need to make a 7th film.
I got to be honest with you. I this might sound a little pretentious, but they could keep making a Jason movie once a year, every year. They'd be on like year 36 now.
They don't need to make any kind of special thing.
They just need to make it at Camp Crystal Lake. I don't care. Keep making up reasons that people are reopening Camp Crystal Lake and have Jason there.
Just have Jason there.
I'd go see a new one of those every year. It's like kung fu movies.
Just have Jason.
The same people do the same moves and get their butts kicked.
We would go see it.
Yeah, I would go see that. I'd spend money on that. Once a year, I would go see the new Jason film.
My girlfriend would turn into my fiance, and then my wife, and we would go see it. I would trick her into going to see it. It's how it works. You don't care what you're watching. You're watching a slasher film.
Yeah.
You don't need a bullshit protagonist that's all of a sudden a telekinetic master.
I still don't hate that one as much as you do.
God bless.
I don't hate that film. I don't hate Jason Part 7, Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. I believe.
Bug.
Yeah, The New Blood. What?
There's a bug. We're outside.
There's a bug.
We're outside. There's a bug.
That's right. We're in nature.
So, next question. And this for you viewers as well, if you would leave a comment below. What is your least favorite Jason film?
My least favorite, are you talking, can I answer first?
Yes.
Or do you want to? Okay, my least favorite Jason film is Jason X. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Duh.
I want to share just a small short story. In circa 2001, I would say, or 2000, can't remember the year. I became friends with my buddy Justin in college, and he said, dude, and this is back when, of course, ripping movies off the internet was still so kind of new. And he said, dude, there's a new Jason movie. I was like, no, there's not. And he's like, yeah, it's called Jason X and they're in space. I was like, okay, now I know you're lying because there's no way that could be a real thing. So I went back to his apartment and he and I watched Jason X like 5 months before it ever came to theaters. I thought this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It has to be fake. It's so stupid it has to be fake. It wasn't. It was a real entry into the franchise. Jason X, I mean, how ridiculous is Leprechaun in space? They did that. I mean,
how ridiculous is Leprechaun?
Well, we're still on terra firma with Leprechaun. At least we're not in space. At least Leprechaun stayed in the hood. He even went back to the hood. But in space, come on, man. Why are you putting people in space? That's the most ridiculous, gimmicky. It's not even interesting. They couldn't even do it in a way that was interesting. Plus, also when they try to introduce space to stuff, they try to really introduce a science fiction element. And they tried to do the same thing to Jason. They tried to make Jason, they tried to give him, scientific reason. If you recall, I only recall the beginning of that film, part of it, where he's in the Camp Crystal Lake research facility, and they're researching how his body regenerates. That's like doing the midichlorian thing for the Jedi, okay? Don't give us a scientific reason why Jason is Jason. Don't give us a scientific reason.
It's the same thing with the Halloween remake. They had to give a reason to Michael Myers. As soon as you give a reason to something, you take something from it. You rob it of its natural power.
You rob it of its mystery.
Yes.
It's romanticism, if it will. I mean, that's the different kind of, when you say fantastic, you don't always mean something's great. You just mean the amazingness of it or the allure and mystery of it, and you're completely taking that away.
Well, I have to completely agree. I mean, that's just definitely the epitome of the worst film.
I don't own that. Do you own Jason X?
I don't own it.
I do not own Jason X.
I refuse to buy it.
I mean, I own every Hellraiser film. Every single one.
You shouldn't admit that.
Well, but whatever.
Forget that, people.
But I do not own Jason X. Nah.
It's even worse than, I mean, even the remake has its merits. The remake is better than probably 7 or 8.
You and I have talked about this, and I don't hate the Friday the 13th. It's actually I think as far as the main slasher remakes, I think Friday the 13th is the best one. They don't completely take Jason out of his element. They don't over-explain things. I know what your problems with it are. And we talked about it.
I feel like they made Jason Rambo, and that's
they did kind of make Jason Rambo a little bit, but wasn't Jason always kind of Rambo? I mean, think about it. He's always blustering through the woods and breaking through walls and smashing through windows. He's like the Thing, but he's Jason. It's clobbering time when Jason's around.
Now that we've got that out of the way, what's your favorite aspect or part of the first Friday the 13th? Yeah, and you may have answered it already. You
kind of bringing it back.
You talk about the mother, but is there a specific scene that you really like from Friday the 13th? Just being simplified. And
I always like signs and portents of doom to come, like, the great storm in the sky that you see from miles off. I love that character.
Really?
I love the character of the man who comes in. It's got a death curse.
Man, he's annoying.
He's so annoying, but I don't know. That makes that movie fun for me, man. The guy, it's kind of like Scooby-Doo in a way. When you watch when you're a kid, stay away from the old Parkins place.
Well, you've got that, but you've also got something else.
What's that?
Animal cruelty.
Yeah, I don't dig that.
I'm not saying it's my favorite aspect. It's a remarkable part of the film. They kill a living snake in this. It's in the.
Perhaps this was before PETA.
It's one of the cabins, and they
kill a snake.
They find a snake, and they're all freaking out about it. And the fact that
burn your shoe.
I'm not going to. The fact that this was in the script means that they planned to kill a snake.
Yeah.
So they took a snake and they put it in the cabin.
Poor snake.
And they said, chase it down and cut it in half with a machete.
He did die for art. To be fair.
Yeah, that's the liberal way. I get it. Not injecting anything.
Okay, good.
I don't know. Friday the 13th. It leaves a lasting impression. But it's not my favorite slasher. It's not my favorite film from 1980.
Oh, me neither.
My favorite slasher film from 1980. Or my favorite film from 1980. My favorite horror film from 1980 has to be The Fog.
Oh, yeah, totally. Totes. Was that our top film for 1980 when we did that review?
The Fog?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. Because it's so great.
And was Maniac 80 or 81?
I don't remember. I think it was 80.
I tell you what, if Maniac was 80, I think we put it above Friday the 13th. I'm wanting to say we put Friday the 13th Part 3, or I'm wanting to say we put Friday the 13th in the third slot when we did our top 5. Because Maniac...
We may have. I haven't revisited that video in quite a while.
When you think about Maniac, there is no way Friday the 13th can compete with Maniac.
Agreed.
That said,
Tom Savini also did the effects for Maniac.
Friday the 13th made its mark. It created a franchise. It didn't mean to create a franchise. As far as the writers concerned, the company who, helmed Friday the 13th, they very much saw potential there, and they...
Well, sure.
They jumped on it, and they made love to it like a rabbit would. And... I don't know. We got Jason.
I don't blame him for that. I mean, Jason, like we said, Jason Voorhees was kind of a happy accident. The character of Jason Voorhees, the mask, the hockey mask slasher, machete-wielding girl in sleeping bag smashing against a tree, unstoppable force.
As a horror fan, I'm thankful for Friday the 13th. And on this day, we give thanks to the series as a whole, not just the first movie.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Who wins Jason Voorhees versus the Terminator? The original T-800 1984 Terminator.
Are we talking post part 6?
Let's talk pre part 6. Let's not talk can't be killed Jason Voorhees. Pre part 6.
Terminator kills Jason hands down.
Then Jason comes back though. Do you think Jason takes Terminator after part 6? When he comes back to life?
It depends on if they send the T-1000 after him.
Ooh. Fair enough. But, in short, Friday the 13th.
Oh, I want to check something real quick. Scarefest.
That's right. Let's see if they have any news. The Scarefest was supposed to do some announcements.
Scarefest is doing Camp Scarefest this year.
Mm-hmm. That's their theme.
That's in Lexington, Kentucky. And we are big fans. If you watch our channel, you know that we visit Scarefest all the time, and that's where we meet the majority of our people. And it looks like they have made some announcements.
Let's find out.
And we are going to kind of talk about them.
Sweet.
They're going to have makers of Friday the 13th, the game, the new one. They're going to have Darcy Demos, who was, it looks like, in Return to Horror High, Friday the 13th Part 6. And they're going to have Stephen Williams, who was the guy in Jason Goes to Hell. He's the one who he's asked, what do you think about Jason? He said, well, that makes me think about a little girl sticking a hot dog through a donut.
You know what, I got to tell you, I'm glad he's going to be there, because that's another signature I can get on that poster.
That's weird.
So, and he's going to sign that on that poster.
There is somebody amazing that is going to be there that I'm really happy about.
Who'd they announce? Who'd they do? They get him? Did they get him? Did they get him? I don't have... Hold on. Yes! Harry Manfredini, the composer for the soundtracks to all the Friday the 13th films. What? Yes! Yeah, that is awesome. I am excited for that. Sam and I, of course, cool have a great history in music together. You know, Sam's created much music. We love Harry Manfredini.
Yeah, I'm happy about that.
Absolutely, that's great. That is great.
That's something I can add to my to my posters and stuff.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. With that, we wish you guys the best Friday the 13th. We hope you stay up all night watching horror films, whether it's whatever, any horror film. There's like Friday the 13th marathons on. There's Nightmare on Elm Street marathons on. I've seen these.
I want to point out that every Friday the 13th work always sucks for me, and boy, today was no exception. But whatever, I knew that I was going to get to watch a Friday the 13th film and do a review tonight, so I was happy about
Good times.
that. Yep.
Anyway, I would like to offer an apology. I know we apologize every time. It takes a long time, but we have semi-professional lives. He's an optician. I'm a social worker. We have our personal lives, and
we deal with the unwashed masses.
We are semi-professionals, and it is very difficult for us sometimes to find time. And this is what we do in our spare time. And oftentimes, our professional compadres don't know that we do these things.
No.
So we hope that you enjoy what we've set forth in front of you, and we hope that you watch.
We're just two guys who love talking about horror films that were born in the 1980s. The same people are our key demographic. If you're younger than that, great. If you're older than that, great. But as always, please follow us on Twitter.
At The Horror App.
Yep. We have a YouTube channel, The Horror Appraisal.
Yes. If you just search YouTube and type in The Horror Appraisal, you can find our channel will pop up. Click on it. Subscribe. We have many videos that you can probably spend several weeks actually watching. It's quite entertaining. We love ourselves.
That's true. I love them. All right, guys. Well, have a wonderful evening.
I'm Sam.
I'm Evan.
See you later. Happy Friday the 13th.
Happy Friday the 13th.